She almost didn't look closely. It was a Tuesday evening, and she was scrolling through the group the way she always did, half attending, half somewhere else. Someone had posted an old photo. A class farewell, 1998. Rows of teenagers in a gym, the kind of photo that looks more faded every year you look at it. Then she saw the comment. That's impossible. He died in 1995. She scrolled back up. She looked at the back row. And there he was. His name was Marcus Webb. She had known him the way you know people in small towns, by sight more than anything else, by the corridors they moved through, by the sound of a name that appeared on rosters and once, in the school paper, in the context of a basketball game he'd played well in. He was the kind of person you expected to see everywhere and never thought much about. Until he wasn't there anymore. He died on a November night in 1995. He was 17, a car accident on a 2-lane road just outside of town. The kind of road every teenager in that town knew, the kind of road parents warned about, the kind that claimed someone every few years regardless. He was driving. The accident had been fast and final. That was what people said. She had been 15 at the time. She remembered the announcement over the intercom, the strange quiet that followed it, the way teachers kept teaching because what else could they do? She remembered a photograph in the hallway. Marcus in his basketball jersey, grinning at whoever was behind the camera. That had been the last image she'd associated with him. Until now, the photo on her screen was dated June 1998. A school farewell, rows of students she didn't fully recognize. She had already moved away by then. Her family relocated the summer after her sophomore year, so she hadn't been there. But there in the back row, third from the left, was a face she recognized. Not a resemblance, not someone who looked like him. Him. The comment had been posted by a woman named Claire. Below it, 2 replies. One person asking if there was another Marcus, another saying they didn't understand. Claire had not written back. She found Claire through the group and sent a short message. Can we talk? Claire replied the same evening. She was Marcus's younger sister. She had been 14 when he died. She had joined the reunion group 2 years ago, mostly for the photos, and she had almost missed the post entirely. It came up in her feed while she was waiting for a train. She had recognized her brother's face in the back of the crowd and sat down on the platform and stared at her phone for 20 minutes before she typed anything. She hadn't told her parents yet. Together they started looking. It wasn't difficult, in the end. The age of the internet makes a certain kind of tracing almost too easy, which is its own uncomfortable thing to notice. She knew Marcus's date of birth from what Claire had shared. She knew roughly what county the photo was from. She searched public records, a driver's license, a voter registration, a social media profile that hadn't been made private. The name Marcus Webb appeared in a state 400 miles away, attached to a man in his early 40s. Married, 2 children, a job in facilities management at a regional hospital, a profile photo in which he stood next to a lake with his back turned, a dark shape against the water. She sat with that image for a long time. There was no Marcus Webb buried anywhere she could find. She checked. There was a death notice from 1995 in the local paper, a short paragraph, but no cemetery listing, nothing that marked a resting place. The accident had been real. The death had been real. But somewhere between the wreckage and the official record, the name had kept going. She went back to the original newspaper report. She had misremembered the details. It was not a single car hitting a tree. Marcus had been driving, yes, but there had been a passenger. A second boy. His name in the article was Thomas Daly, age 17, a resident of the same town, a student at the same school. The article said he sustained injuries but survived, treated and released. She searched for Thomas Daly. There was nothing, not a school record after that year, not a graduation, not a voter registration, not a social media profile, not a trace in any database she could find. Thomas Daly had existed until November 1995. After that, he had simply stopped. She looked at the dates again. Marcus Webb had stopped. Thomas Daly had stopped. One name had continued. She pulled yearbook archives from 1994. A group shot, not unlike the one that had started all of this. Rows of students, and there in the second row, a teenage boy with a slightly uncertain expression, looking slightly off-center, as if he had been surprised by the flash. She held that image next to the man at the lake. The shape of the jaw, the distance between the eyes, the slight asymmetry of the brow. It was the same person. She called Claire again. She told her what she'd found. Claire was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "What do we do?" That question would stay with her for weeks. She thought about what she knew of Thomas Daly. He had been 17, no family she could find in any directory, no mother, a father whose name turned up in county court records in the years before the accident, the kind of record that said something about a household without saying it plainly. No siblings, no grandparents listed anywhere. No one had ever filed a missing person report for Thomas Daly. In the years after 1995, he had simply not been looked for. He had survived the crash that killed his classmate. He had been brought to a hospital. Someone had found a wallet near the seat and read a name off a card. And he had said nothing to correct them. She tried to think about what that moment had felt like. 17 years old, injured, alone, a name someone had read aloud, and then a clean bed, and a door that opened onto a world that had, until that moment, offered him very little. She did not excuse it, but she thought she understood the weight of a second in which everything could go one way or another. The man at the lake had built something with that second. She looked at what she could see of it, carefully and without wanting to look too long. A spare LinkedIn profile, an address in county records, and then, 3 years ago, a local news item, a children's hospital fundraiser, a short list of donors, the name Marcus Webb near the bottom. She read that item twice. She thought about the 28 years between the accident and the donation. She thought about a 17-year-old boy stepping out of a hospital under a dead classmate's name and having to decide, every day after that, whether to keep going or stop. He had kept going. He had done what people do, found work, built a life, had children who called him a name that wasn't his. Claire had gone quiet in the weeks since their last call. She checked in once and Claire replied, still thinking. She understood. She thought about what it meant to tell someone official. Thomas Daly had not killed Marcus Webb. The accident had done that. He had not defrauded the Webb family or claimed anything in their name. He had taken a name that belonged to a dead boy and used it to survive. The legal questions were real and complicated, but the human question felt harder. Marcus Webb's parents were still alive. Claire had mentioned this early on, carefully. Her parents were in their 70s, still living in the same town, her father still attending the same church, her mother still keeping a photo of Marcus on the shelf above the television. The same basketball jersey, the same grin. She thought about those two people. She thought about what it would mean to tell them that their son's name had been walking around for 28 years in someone else's life. She didn't know if that would feel like finding something or losing it all over again. She wasn't sure those two things could always be pulled apart. She found the phone number on a Thursday afternoon. A listing in a county directory. She wrote it down. She looked at it for 3 days. On the 4th day, she called. It rang 3 times. Then a man's voice, measured and even, said hello. She told him her name. She told him she had grown up in the same town as Marcus Webb. She told him she had seen the photograph. There was a long silence. Not the silence of a man about to lie. Something else. The silence of a person arriving at a moment they had been moving toward for a very long time. He said, "I've been waiting for this call." He told her the accident had happened fast. Marcus had been driving too quickly on a road they both knew. The car went sideways. He remembered the noise and then he remembered nothing until the hospital. He remembered someone asking his name. He remembered thinking, in a way that was less a thought than a reflex, that the name they said aloud, the name from the wallet near the seat, was not his name. And then he had said nothing. He had not planned it. He wanted her to understand that. He had been 17 and terrified, and the name Thomas Daly meant a father who hid him and a house he had been trying to leave for 2 years. Marcus Webb's name meant a clean record and a small town history that was sad but not violent. He had made the choice in the space of a second. And then he had made it again, every morning, for 28 years. He had thought about Marcus Webb every single day. The donation she had found, it was one of many. He had given money in Marcus's name every year since he had enough to give. It did not make anything right. He knew that. He had never let himself believe otherwise. She asked him if he was a good person. He was quiet again. Then he said, "I've tried to be. That's the only answer I have." She met Claire for coffee 2 weeks later. They chose a place neither of them had been before, in a city halfway between where they each lived, and she told her everything. Claire listened without interrupting. She held her cup and looked at the street outside the window while she listened, the way people do when they are trying to think and feel at the same time. When the account was finished, Claire sat without speaking for a moment. Then she asked one question. Did he seem like a good person? She thought about the phone call, the long silence at the beginning of it, the voice that was careful and did not reach for excuses, the donations, 28 years of a man who had done something unforgivable at 17 and carried it forward into a life he had tried to make worth something. She said yes. Claire nodded slowly. She finished her coffee. She said she needed to think. She said she might go home and sit with her parents for a while, not tell them anything, just look at them, and then decide. They parted in the parking lot without making another plan to meet. She drove home and sat in her car in the driveway for a few minutes before she went inside. She never found out what Claire told her parents, if she told them anything. She did not know what became of the man living under a borrowed name, whether he kept it, or whether some version of the truth eventually caught up with him. She did not reach out again. She thought about the photos sometimes. The rows of teenagers in the gym, the poor lighting, the faces caught mid-blink or mid-sentence. A figure in the back row, third from the left, smiling at whoever was behind the camera. A boy who had survived one night and chosen, if a choice made in one terrified second deserves to be called a choice, to keep surviving. She still didn't know what to do with that. She suspected she never fully would. # story notes. Fictional narrative. All names, locations, and characters are invented.